I've been hearing the same thing from a lot of my clients lately who are, of course, grown adults about their parents. And if they're talking about it, I have a feeling you might be experiencing this as well. Let's just dive right into it. Welcome to the Intuitive Eating Mama podcast. I'm your host, Jennifer D'Amato. I am an intuitive eating counselor and I'm also a mom to four. This podcast is not just for mamas, it's for all women who are ready to ditch diets, ditch the scale and food guilt forever, and instead invite peace with food, increase their body trust, and confidence in all of her choices. I believe this show is going to shed some light on sneaky ways diet culture has infiltrated your thoughts, your family, and your well-being. No matter the episode, I want you to walk away feeling informed, inspired, and encouraged. So whether you're taking a walk, washing the dishes, or carting kids around, let's dive into the latest episode on the Intuitive Eating Mama podcast. So the women in my intuitive health reboot, talk about their childhood and watching their parents' diet. I mean, most of the time it was their mom they saw the most, but I've had so many clients talking about how both their parents were dieting, focused on weight talk, weight loss, all of that. And the large majority, of course, grew up at the same time I did where, all the fat was taken out of our food. You were eating things like snack wells. Oh my gosh, even the idea of it makes me churn in my stomach. Just foods that had very little flavor, vegetables that were boiled to death. And of course, in my house, Richard Simmons and Weight Watchers was just the norm. When we talk about these things from our childhood and the impact they had on us, but something else comes up all the time in group, and it's parents who are still dieting. Grown women, 30s, 40s, 50s, that's the age of the women in my group generally. And what they're dealing with is healing their relationship with food, and their parents are still dieting. Yeah, their parents were dieting when they were kids, and they're still doing it. And they're like, what do I do? How do I explain? I don't want to hear about your diet. All of this is stuff that really impacted me. What do I do? So how do you deal with parents who are still dieting? How do you deal with the feelings that come up, the things that kind of stir in you, knowing they're still dieting and the impact it had on you? I don't think there's a one answer for this. I don't think it's this is what you need to do and say, or that you need to be the person to, teach them intuitive eating, or to shame our parents or make them feel bad for the impact they had. I really believe, again, just as much as the culture of dieting and weight loss and weight focus and fat phobia has impacted you, it's impacted them. I always go back to the messages that I'm familiar with as a child, eggs being evil, fat being bad. They heard the same messages. They were pushed like Weight Watchers. Oh my gosh, it feels like it's been around since the beginning of time. It was pushed and pushed and pushed. And it was pushed in corporate wellness even back then. And their friends were doing it, so they were doing it. And we have to focus on weight loss. They didn't know any different. I am never here to judge my parents. I am not here to make them feel guilty or bad. And I've said this before when we've talked about our mother's voice in our head when it comes to how we feel about our body and about food. Not here for the guilt and the shame. I'm a grown adult now. I don't need to carry those things with me. I've definitely done a lot of work on how I felt then and how I feel now with that impact. However, what if they're still doing it? They're on their, 20th version of Weight Watchers, or they're exploring keto because they've done Weight Watchers for 20 years and nothing's working, because we all know nothing works. Nothing works long-term and has a negative impact on your overall health and well-being. Again, I don't think there's one way to deal with this. And I'm never one, my clients will tell you straight out, I don't believe you need to be the educator and someone who takes on that role of making your parents see what diets have done. You can live by example. You can set boundaries. You know, I've been thinking a lot, of course, about the holidays coming up and just the impact, our parents or grandparents or family members can have who are still dieting. I'm talking about my masterclass. I've shared this with you. I know, ladies, those who've joined, I'm so excited. And we're going to talk about these people in our life. And sometimes it is our parents. Sometimes it's our parents during the holidays who are pushing more food on us or who are judging us for what we are eating, and sometimes even for what we're choosing not to eat. Like, again, those pushers can become judgers because you're saying, I don't want any more. We're actually going to specifically address the pushers and judgers in our life in this masterclass. I would love to say that, we just ignore everything, hit the mute button, but the reality is most of the time, that doesn't work. We might need to have a plan. I love proactive plans. That's how I live my entire life. Parenting, dealing with family events, everything, proactive life. But we might need to be proactive in how we're going to address this because we know it's going to happen. You're going to show up at that family dinner and someone's going to try to give you more food when you feel done and try to guilt you into this and all of that. Maybe it's just my Italian family. No, I don't think so. Or you're going to have the judgers. Are you really going back for seconds? Do you need more? Or you're not eating enough. Why haven't you had enough? You're not eating this. Don't you like this? Oh. You ever just have something happen where it takes you right back to hearing those messages? And for you, it may have been that last family gathering you were at, the barbecue. It could have been last holiday season, and you can bring yourself right back to that place, hearing the judgers and the pushers in your life. The truth is, when we talk about healing our relationship with food and our body, it is mostly about the food, but we can't heal those places without addressing the thoughts and areas like this. Like setting boundaries, like feeling really confident in your own choices. So that's why in this masterclass, we're going to address the food and having that peace, but also the people, the impact those messages have on us. So if you haven't yet, be sure to register for the masterclass. And like I said in last week's episode, this is happening August 29th. That's a Tuesday. You'll have access to the replay, and you have two options to enroll. You will have the option to enroll just to come to the class, show up. You also, for $7 more, could have the workbook and all of the goodies that come with that. There are specific handouts for the holidays, things my clients had told me. So I've only done this masterclass for clients before. So they've shared with me, like, Jen, I just screenshot that. I have it on my phone and ready. Like, before I go in, I kind of look at this. I have some things ready to go. So for you, that might be the best option because you want to have those things literally handy and with you. So when I talk about how do I deal with parents who are still dieting, I think you've got, there's not one way, though I definitely want to make sure I'm saying it one more time. This isn't about guilt or shame or even that you have to take on the educator role. But what you can do when your parents are still dieting, when your family members are still immersed in diet culture, you can set boundaries. You can have specific ways to do that for those who are pushing food on you, pushing you to do something you're not wanting to do. And for those who are judging, making those comments. I can't wait to give you these tools. They've been so helpful for my clients. They're helpful for me because even myself, I can't escape this. There's going to be family members, friends, people close to me who are still so immersed in dieting. And I don't want that ruining my holidays or any other time of the year. All right, I hope this was helpful to just start even getting you thinking, because I know the large majority of people You've watched your parents diet longer than you've been. You've watched them since you were a kid and you see them still stuck in that place. I know how heartbreaking that can feel to see people like they're still in the same place. And if you haven't for yourself gone, this doesn't work for me, if you've not gotten to that place, you might even look at someone who's been doing it for 30, 40 years. It's not them. It's not you. Diets don't work. It's such a hard truth for some reason for us to accept because, well, I say it's a hard truth, but I know it's hard because we're literally bombarded with messages saying, no, but try this one then. No, try this diet. Well, that one didn't work because you didn't have the willpower. You didn't stick with it. Whew, we need to break down more of these messages every day. I'm always like, get me my megaphone. I'm going to be using it more and more all the time. All right, I can't wait to see you in this masterclass. I'm getting so excited. This has been such a favorite of my clients. Again, to be so prepared when the holiday season is here. They don't have to have the stress going into that. All right, can't wait for the masterclass, but also can't wait to meet you right back here again next week.